talk, we're going to hear from, Ben Weldon, who spent 20 years in high growth industries, turning software into business outcomes. And that's a big part of the problem he's been dealing with. So he defines his role as solving the last mile of the digital and AI transformation and going from implementation to actual adoption. He'll be joining Kylie for a conversation about a better usage of data intelligence. Thank you very much.
Now I've got my questions on the, you can choose where you want to sit, Ben. There we go. You sit that one. It sounds like you're interviewing me, but that's okay. Cool. So I love this idea, and I love what Steve was saying, that if you've got 200 products that or companies that you've bought and integrated into your system, clearly, or into your company, there's clearly a lot of complexity going on inside Proptechs at the moment. Everyone's operating off different stacks. But to kick off, so Ben, what I wanted to understand is, like, what does Pendo actually do? Yep. And just give us your elevator pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I'll start with the fact that whether it's a consumer engaging with the property industry, whether it's a real estate agent, all of those types of engagements involve some level of interaction with software, with products, many of those that you develop. I think that's a big part of today and a lot of the conversations around data monetization. And I think Pendo's focus is more around the interaction to that data. So if I think through, Pendo's mission is to elevate the world's experience with software. So much of what happens in the PropTech industry today is around how consumers, as I said, real estate agents, businesses engage in this industry with the products and software that you provide. And I think we talk a lot about monetization of data, and the data is the richness of everything that we capture. But actually challenge that, it is. But it's actually really interesting how the interaction with that data in itself, in terms of how customers are interacting with our digital products, with the software that we provide them. And that's actually a far more interesting point beyond the data, because you can have a great database, as I said, I think someone mentioned just earlier. But if no one can access it, if no one can interact with it to make a decision, their next best action, then it's only as good as the system it's in. So Pendo's role is to elevate the world's experience with software, and that means extracting out those interactions with all the data that your consumers, whoever those end customers are doing on your system, and then being able to enable you to make decisions with that data, which we can talk about in a minute.
So in your experience, are the majority of Proptechs out there, or are they walking the talk of what they're telling their customers to do, which is use your data, but use your data, think about your customer experience, make the customer journey seamless? Is what's going on in the back end of our own businesses reflecting that?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we see quite a lot is that there's a big focus on acquisition of customers to drive a greater pool of the data that we have available to us. And so not a lot of organizations, Proptechs, we work with, from the likes of CoStar all the way down to Nurture Cloud. I think Colmio, you're in the room today. You're a customer of Pendo. Beyond just what we call anonymous to known. So a lot of organizations are focusing a lot on how we acquire customers, but none are really focusing the same amount of energy and investment and resources on once they've become a customer. What is the time to first use? How are they adopting the products that you've provided them? What are their customer journeys? What are the workflows? What are the friction they're experiencing accessing the data that you have available to them, or encouraging them to add more data into your system? So I think our observation is, how do we focus a little less on how we're marketing to acquire customers, and thinking more about how we're taking the richness of not just how we're marketing to them and converting and onboarding them onto our products, but then what their ongoing experience is in our products, to extend their lifetime value, so they can encourage them to contribute more data into your platform to make the richness of their experience, and of course others, more valuable.
So how do you do that? Is it a dashboard? What's the experience that you have?
So Pendo is a really low code snippet. We sit it inside your product. It takes about an hour with a smart engineer's help. And within after that hour, within a week or 2 weeks of data, we've got a really good sample of how your customers are interacting with your products, your end users are interacting with your products. As I said, that could be an agent, it could be a consumer, it could be a business. Then we're able to really, segment that data. So what's really interesting when we think through how our customers are interacting, end users are interacting with our products, is how do I segment them by the state, by any attribute, by, whether a new customer, they've been a lifetime value, 12, 24 months, 36 months, and then being able to use those segmentation concepts to go and present that data in dashboards. It could be visualizations on conversion. It could be visualizations on acquisition. It could be heat maps for how they're engaging with my product. All of those typical visualizations that you'd expect. Part of, I suppose, the secret sauce of Pendo is not just gathering analytics, being able to segment that, but it's also, without a whole bunch of engineering, heavy lifting, is being able to actually guide a customer once we see their friction or once we see those journeys, and being able to present them in-app communication and guides to go and complete a process. Maybe we see in an onboarding process or an adoption of a particular feature, there's friction in their experience of it. Or maybe we've onboarded all these customers and they're not going to this particular part of my product. How do I change that? Well, I communicate with them. I communicate with them based on the segment that I've created about those types of users. And that enables me to be very contextual in the way that I'm fostering and growing the community on my platform.
And so are you doing that through the client's own platform, or is that an experience that they're having there, or is it something added on through like a HubSpot or their own CRM, or how does that play in?
Yeah, great question. So, so we work very closely with product companies. That's what I talked about in terms of the snippet. So you can put your snippet in your product very easily and draw out information. And that also helps you with your product roadmap. How do you decide what features? We can capture customer feedback to enrich the investment and the prioritization that you apportion to certain parts of your roadmap. But also organizations that use that software. So I think, we work really closely with a lot of real estate agencies in Australia. And they are more interested in how do I drive adoption of my real estate agents of all the software that I'm providing my agent. And that's done through a browser extension. So there's a number of different ways that you can deliver Pendo to deliver insights to serve, I suppose, the organization that has a lot of products that they use for an agent, or an organization that has a product that is wanting to engage with a consumer or an agent itself.
So with a fast-growing or a fast-scaling Proptech, what are some of the most common mistakes that you see them doing with their user experience, and how would they avoid them, or how can Pendo help them avoid them?
Yeah, so I think a lot of the things that we observe, particularly in the Proptechs, is they use sort of the Google Analytics or Adobe Analytics side of things, the very generic and sometimes free analytical tools that are out there. And as I said, they can be helpful for seeing how many site visitors we have and, where are people clicking on our site and all those sort of things. But as I said, I think while that's a rich source of information, it's very acquisition focused. And it doesn't cater to, once they become a customer, how do they engage with me? I read an interesting fact, which is 50% of real estate agencies are now using AI, right? And I think a lot of them haven't even transformed digitally, and so they're going through a lot of cognitive load of change, and so I think it's important for us to understand that. And Proptechs, I think when we understand more about how our customers are interacting with our products, not only does it make the investments we make in how we improve those products more richer, but it also means that we can better support them. We can drive better self-service. So our operational costs as we continue to scale, can remain contained. So we can just make more smarter data-driven decisions. Proptechs, I think, they're incredibly smart people who found them. But how can we turn that hypothesis of what we think is a good idea into a data-driven decision? And that's what Pendo enables.
I have one very quick last question. The insights that you're able to give, are they able to scale with the speed that AI is engaging and then, interacting?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of product teams are building AI capabilities. So, we all have your users engaging with your traditional UI as well as potentially a conversational UI. So Pendo captures all of that and allows you to dynamically pivot them between both, depending on how you want to serve their needs. But also people using AI themselves. We don't know the types of prompts they're asking. We don't know the conversations they're having with AI across the organization. So Pendo's ability to go and understand that and then use some of those insights to drive where we should move from experimentation to production, automating processes and, all the other measurable ROI that comes with AI.
Fantastic. I'm conscious that we're out of time, but thank you so much, Ben. I think it's really interesting that as an industry, we're about trying to get our clients to behave in certain ways and that the tools are available out there for us to do the same thing. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.